Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these, when we love the least of these. Break our hearts once again. Help us to.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Good morning and welcome to the King's Report this Thursday, May 4th, 2017, 8th year of Cheongi, 4th month, 9th day by the heavenly calendar. I'm your host, Cheongi Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. Let's go to Tim first for our AccuWeather forecast. Tim.
Morning. It's rather cool outside for this time of year. We're almost down to the freezing point, 34
Wow.
degrees. Yeah. So we're making up for some of those 70s and 80s that we had previously, bringing it back down to the, averaging out.
The average temperature.
Today, it's going to be warmer than the last couple of days. It's going to get up into the 60s, which is about normal for this time of year. And then it's going to be sunny with some clouds during the day. Tonight, late tonight, we're going to start having some rain. In fact, some rain is moving into all the northeastern United States. And tomorrow's going to be a rainy day, quite heavy at times. So if you have a leak in your roof, today is your deadline for getting that fixed. So it'll be only 45 degrees tonight, so it's not quite as cold or cool as it's been the last couple of nights.
There you go, folks. There is your weather forecast for today. So averaging out to a more proper temperature. Let's get to our Rima today. This Rima we've done, but like Rimas, each Rima for each day will be different. Even though we get a similar Rima, that is, our tendency is to say, oh, let's look at another Rima. But of course, God gives us His Word, and through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, we have to be open to what God is telling us that day. We have done this Rima before on the King's Report, but not every Rima is going to be a totally different scripture. Okay, this is what I open to today. And this is about the Philistines and the ark. Then the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. When the people of Ashdod arose early in the morning, there was Dagon fallen on its face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and set it in its place again. And when they arose early the next morning, there was Dagon fallen on its face to the ground before the ark of the Lord again. The head of Dagon and both the palms of its hands were broken off on the threshold. Only Dagon's torso was left. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any who come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. There you go. As you may remember, Dagon was one of the gods of the Philistines, a fish god. The ancient peoples used to worship different natural bodies because as having power and life-giving, as life-giving entities, such as rivers, streams, large bodies of water were life-giving. There's fish in there. There's sustenance. There's water that can be boiled and purified, etc. There's life where there's water. So what they did is, of course, they anthropomorphized these things and began to worship them as deities. And this is not only common in the Philistinian pantheon, but also common throughout many pagan cultures. The worship of trees, the worship of the sky god, the worship of rocks and spirits in different hills and mountains, commonly referred to in the study of religion as animism, was very common in the day. So there was an endless pantheon of fake deities to which in this particular case, the Philistines worshipped Dagon, being the fish god or the god of prosperity from the different rivers, many times connected to fertility as well, or masculine fertility. And as the Ark of the Covenant is taken, the Philistines are defeating the Israelites, take the Ark of the Covenant and bring it to their temple. And when they take it there and they set it by the statue of Dagon, the people of Ashdod rose early in the morning. There it is. What happens? The statue of Dagon is fallen on its face. So they put it up again, and then the next day they come back, and there it is again. It's fallen on its face, and now its face is cracked and its hands are cracked. Showing the subordination, the inferiority of these fake deities, which people are worshiping, not the one true God, the creator of the universe, but worshiping created things and worshiping natural bodies of water as deities, anthropomorphized deities. There is the impotency of Dagon as he falls on his face, the statue representing his power, the statue before which all the people of Ashdod were bowing and worshiping. Fallen on his face first day. The next day, fallen on his face, two smashed palms. Palms, of course, symbolizing the workings of Dagon, or the activity of Dagon, the supposed power sources and hands with which he manipulates the ether of reality to give prosperity and blessings upon those who worship him. Of course, there's been the Dagon worship and the fish worship would have the Dagon priests in these kind of long vertical hats that were pointed in two directions like a fish mouth. And people have brought up the fact that the Pope's hat as well, looks almost like the historical Dagon priest hat. Not only like a big phallus on top of his head, but a open mouth fish. That's just, you guys put up Pope fish hat. We may get a picture for that. This crown, I have to say, is a little heavier sometimes, and it's harder to balance out. But the second day, Dagon's statue has fallen down. His face has been, there it is. There's Fishy in Western religion. There it is. There is Dagon's, as you can see right there, you can see the Dagon priests with the fish worship priests. And you can see the traditional Pope hats with even the little circles there that look like the fish eyes, worshiping the pagan gods. There you go. There you go, right there. Dagon fish priests. Of course, this fallen deity and this fallen archangel, isn't it interesting that all these fallen angels and deities, false gods, demand supplication, obedience, and payment to centralized power, centralized government, of which we know the archangel is the king of. God shows them a striking scene where the symbol of the powerful Philistines, who even have conquered God's people, on the one side shows the Philistines that they are cursed and doomed, and their impotent fake God will not save them. And on the second hand, even though Israel has been defeated, that Israel's God has not left them, and that he is still with them, and that he will bring them to victory after this suffering of defeat, of which they have sinned against God. Now, in the same scripture here, there's two sections, one about the nation's flag, one about the faith of the founders. We covered the faith of founders before, about the Judeo-Christian faith of the founders, the biblical perspective. Yes, I remember we covering this part. Henry Ward Beecher, a prominent 19th century Congregationalist clergyman and social reformer, stated, "A thoughtful mind, when it sees a nation's flag, sees not the flag only, but the nation itself. Whatever may be its symbols, its insignia, he reads chiefly in the flag the government, the principles, the truths, the history with which the nation belongs to the nation. That sets it forth." The symbol of a nation is its flag, its insignia. But look what he said. He said, but it represents the government, principles, truths, and the history. When one looks at the Tongil mark, one is looking at the symbol of the kingdom of God, the symbol of the architecture of the universe, of the created world, the symbol of God's arithmetic, mathematics, and architecture, but again, the symbol of Chanilguk, the Chanilguk Constitution. It's not only the government, it's limits on government, the principles of Chanilguk, the kingdom of God, the truths, and the history. All that is represented when we see the Tongil flag. That is the insignia by which the kingdom of God is represented. The world's and history's first truly decentralized nation and world, where the archangels and the satans of the past are put in their proper place as criminals and servants. The people of God, the citizens of this world, can stand in their proper position as those who are created in the image of God, to have a common destiny in inheriting God's great blessings that He gave to humanity. To be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over creation. The owners, sovereigns of this world. That only comes from the King of Kings, folks. And the three kingships, Cain and Abel, for all the kings and queens standing in their proper place as tribal messiahs and tribal monarchs, royalty, honoring, giving glory to the one who gave it all to give it all. The King of Kings, the Lord of creation, and our Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be His name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We'll be right back after this short break.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology, it's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood, the history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun, to the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this morning, Thursday, May 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungju Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. Let's go now to Mrs. Kang for our Holy Spirit special K moment. Go ahead, Tim.
Kang's Rhema this morning is 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
안녕하십니까.
Good morning, everyone.
오늘 여러분들께 말씀드릴 내용은 바울의 겸손이라는 내용으로 말씀드리겠습니다.
Today, I will be speaking to you on the topic of the humility of Paul.
오늘 여러분들이 잘 아시고 계십니다마는 이 사도 바울은 참 유명한 분이었습니다.
You all know very well that Paul was a very famous person.
성경을 13권이나 쓰신 분이고 또 그 쓰신 내용의 말씀을 우리가 하나하나 들어볼 때마다 정말로 사람의 심금을 울리며 살아있는 말씀이라고 할 수 있습니다.
Paul wrote 13 books in the Bible, and the content of those books are enough to really inspire us and to really deeply resonate within our hearts every time we read them.
그는 여러 가지 면에서 정말로 꿀릴 것이 없으리만큼 부모가 유대인이었고 또 그 유명한 가말리엘 문화에서 공부를 한 사람이었고 또 사도로서 정말로 부족함이 없는 분이었습니다.
He was a very prominent person, even in his time. His parents were Jews, and he studied under Gamaliel. And he was an apostle, and there was no sense in which anyone could detract from him.
처음에는 복음을 또 예수님을 아주 반대하는 그런 입장에 서 있었습니다.
In the beginning, he was strongly opposed to Jesus and to the Gospels.
그래서 정말로 그는 하늘로부터 내리는 주의 말씀에 의해서 부르심을 받았습니다.
But he changed his faith as a result of a voice that came to him from heaven.
너무 반대하고 핍박을 했을 때에 담에석 어느 길에서 하늘에서 주님의 음성이 들려왔습니다.
In the midst of his strong persecution against Christianity, one day on a road in the night, he heard a voice from heaven, the voice of the Lord.
나는 누구냐 하면은 네가 지금 그렇게 나를 많이 반대하고 핍박하고 있는 바로 그 예수라 하는 그 음성을 듣고 그는 회심하고 사도가 되었던 분입니다.
And the voice of the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom you have been persecuting so much. And that is how he became an apostle.
그뿐만 아니라 신약 시대의 첫 순교자였던 스데반을 쳐 죽일 때에 그는 손을 들고 찬성을 했던 사람입니다.
Paul witnessed the martyrdom of Stephen, who was the first martyr, and when he witnessed that, he praised it. He raised both hands in praising it.
그러나 예수님의 말씀을 직접 듣고 그는 사도로 소명을 받아 수십 년 동안 일을 많이 했던 사람이고 예수님보다 나이는 3살 아래로 되어 있습니다.
And then he converted to Christianity, and over the next decades then, he did a tremendous amount of work for Christianity. And his age is said to have been 3 years younger than Jesus.
처음 그는 정말로 주님을 받아들이고 사도가 되었을 때에 감사하는 마음, 고마운 마음으로 정말로 사도됨을 하나님께 감사했던 것입니다.
When he first became an apostle, he was filled with gratitude, and he thanked God for this opportunity.
그래서 그는 자부하는 마음도 가졌어요. 나는 정말로 주님의 사도가 된 사람이라고 이렇게 생각을 했습니다마는 은혜를 받고 정말로 깊은 경지에 그가 섰을 때는 어떻게 생각했느냐 하면은 사도 중에는 그래도 내가 큰 자야 이렇게 생각을 했습니다.
So he did have a sense of pride. He was proud of the fact that he was an apostle of the Lord. And then he also at times felt that among the apostles he was the most important.
은혜를 받고 정말로 깊은 경지에 들어가 보았을 때에 자기를 발견하고 자기가 어떤 사람이라는 걸 알게 되었습니다.
But then when he was filled with the grace of the Lord, he would become more aware of himself and understand who he really was.
그는 무엇을 느꼈느냐 하면은 나는 사도 중에 큰 자라고 생각을 해왔지만은 진짜 내가 알고 보니까 그게 아니었고 나는 아무 이름 없는 정말로 소명을 받고 나왔지만은 아무것도 아닌 사람이라는 것을 그는 느끼게 되었던 것입니다.
In those times, he would realize that even though he had been thinking of himself as the most important among the apostles, he was actually not that. Even though God had called him and he had received a mission from God, but actually he was a very insignificant person.
그 당시에 유대인들, 그 당시에 이름 있는 사람들도 다 바울에 대해서 머리를 숙이고 또 더 나아가서 큰 사도로 모두 인정을 해왔습니다.
The people at that time, of course, respected him and recognized him as an important person.
그래서 그는 생각하기를 나는 사도 중에 큰 자가 아니야. 나는 정말로 아무것도 아닌 사람이라는 것을 생각하고 느끼고는 그는 성경을 쓰면서 구구절절히 나는 아무것도 아닌 정말로 여러분들보다 훨씬 더 못한 사도 중에 사도가 아니고 사도 중에 큰 자가 아니고 사도 중에 아주 나는 적은 자라 그렇게 생각했습니다.
But Paul himself came to realize that he was, in God's eyes, or in the eyes of the overall providence, was a very insignificant person. That he should not have that kind of pride in himself. That he is, I'm not the most important among apostles. I'm actually a very small person.
또 그가 깊은 경지에 들어가서 하나님의 말씀에 주님의 사랑에 접하게 될 때에 뭘 느꼈느냐 하면은 나는 사도 중에 큰 사도가 아니고 아마 적은 사도는 될 것이다. 적은 내 사도로서 내가 있지는 않나 하는 그런 생각을 했습니다.
We see that when Paul wrote the books of the Bible that are attributed to him, he wrote a great deal about this kind of humility. That even though, okay, I am an apostle, but I'm not the most important. I might be an apostle, but the smallest, the least important among all the apostles.
또 그는 신앙이 자라서 깊은 은사의 은혜의 경지에 들어갔을 때에 나는 사도 중에 큰 자가 아니고 지극히 그는 사도 중에 적은 자로 느꼈습니다.
And so when he was filled with the Spirit, filled with God's grace, he would realize that he was not the most important among the apostles, but actually the least important.
그래서 그는 나는 사도 중에 큰 자도 아니고 정말로 사도 중에 적은 자라는 것을 느끼게 될 때에 더욱 하나님과 주님과 가까울 수 있는 경지에 설 수 있게 되었던 것입니다.
And because he saw himself this way, as being the least among the apostles, not the most, he was able to come closer to God and to the Lord Jesus Christ.
그가 깊은 경지에 들어가 보니까 내가 사도 중에 큰 자는 또 사도 중에 적은 자도 못 되지만은 성도 중에는 큰 자가 되었을 것이다. 이렇게 느꼈어요.
But he said, okay, I might be the least among the apostles, but among the saints, I am among the most important.
그는 느껴보니까 나는 성도 중에도 큰 자가 될 수 있는 그릇이 못 돼. 나는 성도 중에 적은 자라 하고 두 손 들고 그는 회개하고 주 앞에 나타났던 것입니다.
Then he also repented then that I am not the most important among saints. I'm actually the least important. And he repented and appeared before the Lord with repentance.
이 놀라운 은사에 접할 때마다 자기 자신을 발견하게 되고 나는 정말로 자격이 없는 사람이야. 사도도 못 되고 성도 중에도 적은 자고 사도 중에도 적은 자라는 그런 것을 그는 절감하게 되었던 것입니다.
Every time that he was filled with amazing grace of God, he repented and realized that he was not important among the apostles, not important even among the saints.
그는 또 느끼기를 어떻게 느꼈느냐 하면은 나는 만삭되지 못하고 난 자, 즉 뭐냐면은 10개월 되어서 난 사람이 아니고 나는 한 7개월, 8개월짜리밖에 안 된다는 나는 만삭되지 못하고 난 부족한 자라 이렇게 자기를 책하면서 느꼈던 것입니다.
And then he felt that I am, as a child, I must have been born prematurely. That is, his mother, he felt his mother had not carried him to full term, but he was born perhaps 7 months or 8 months into the pregnancy, and so he was somehow deficient in that way.
그는 스스로 나는 예수님 앞에 정말로 죄인이지 내가 이런 귀한 직책을 맡아서 남의 앞에 설 수 있는 그런 자격을 가지고 있지 못한다는 것을 늘 생각하고 울기를 많이 울어서 그는 일생 동안 눈이 아파서 또 눈이 잘 보이지를 않아서 그는 내가 근심이 있고 내게 지금 뭐냐면은 고통이 있는데 이게 무엇이냐면은 볼 수 없는 눈으로 잘 사물을 볼 수 없는 것이 되었다는데 그건 즉 뭐냐면은 눈물을 즉 많이 흘리고 회개하는 마음을 가졌기 때문에 그렇다는 말씀입니다.
Paul regarded himself as a sinner before Jesus, and he wept in repentance, wept so much that actually he was not able to see very well. That is, his eyesight was poor as a result of incredible weeping. And there is words in the Bible that indicate this.
바울은 정말로 큰 은혜를 많이 받고 남이 알 수 없는 깊은 경지에 여러 번 들어갔다 나온 사람이었습니다.
Paul truly repented a great deal, and he was able to, as a result of that, he was able to go into very profound spiritual realms that others rarely were able to go to.
이런 것을 볼 때에 바울은 정말로 겸손한 분이고 또 겸손한 생활을 해왔다는 것을 우리는 여기에서 느낄 수 있습니다.
From this we can see that Paul was truly a humble man, and he lived a life of humility.
오늘 이 성경이 말하고 있는 겸손은 모든 은혜를 갈구하는 자는 먼저야 되고 또 모든 선의 터가 되는 겸손한 마음을 가져야 할 것입니다.
Humility in the Bible means that when we receive the grace of God, we need to uproot the sin of pride that is within us, and the sin of pride is the root of many evils. And to uproot that and to plant within ourselves instead the root of humility that can be the root of goodness.
그래서 예수님께서도 이런 말씀을 했습니다. 나는 마음이 온유하고 겸손하니 나의 멍에를 메고 너희들 나를 배우라 이런 말씀을 했던 것입니다.
And so Jesus also encouraged his disciples and told his disciples that they must be humble.
마태복음 11장 29절 보면은 그 말씀이 나와 있어요.
마태복음
11장 29절. 예수님이 그런 말씀을 하셨습니다.
And especially this is in Matthew 11:29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
바울 자신이 은혜를 받고 깊은 경지에 들어갈 때마다 참 그는 나에게 하나님께서 이런 은혜를 주신 것을 측량할 수 없는 은혜로 알고 이 품성을 모든 이방인에게 전하라는 이런 뜻에서 나를 세우신 것이라는 것을 그는 깊이 느꼈던 것입니다.
Every time Paul received God's grace, every time he felt filled with God's Spirit, he realized that this was God sending him out into the world to give God's gospel to all the Gentiles in the world.
그의 말씀 가운데 보면은 하나님은 교만한 자를 물리치시고 겸손한 자에게 은혜를 주신다는 말씀을 사도 바울 자신이 말씀을 하셨어요. 이걸 볼 때에 그는 정말로 이 말씀에 절감하면서 그는 교만한 자리에 서지 아니하고 겸손한 자에게 은혜를 주시는 이 주님을 붙들어야 된다는 것을 그는 느꼈던 것입니다.
We see in Paul's own writings that he speaks from his own experience that God rejects those who are prideful and gives grace and gives inspiration to those who are humble. And so we can see that this was the kind of life that he was always striving to live himself.
예수님 자신도 3년 동안 선교를 하시면서 무슨 말씀하셨느냐 하면은 누구든지 자기를 높이는 자는 낮아지고 누구든지 자기를 낮추는 자는 높아진다. 이런 말씀을 하시면서 참 많은 것을 가르쳐 주었던 것입니다.
And Jesus also taught that those who try to uplift themselves will be brought down, and those who are humble instead will be uplifted.
이걸 볼 때에 우리는 바울의 겸손을 여기에서 배울 수 있어요. 그래서 그는 뭘 느꼈는고 하면은 참 주님께서 예수님께서 이 땅 위에 하나님께서 보내신 것은 왜 보냈느냐 하면 이방인에게 이 말씀을 전하고 이방인을 구원하시고 또 그 다음에는 모든 세계 만민을 구원하실 수 있는 역할을 우리 주님께서 하시라고 해서 보내셨던 것입니다.
And Paul recognized that God had sent him to spread God's word to all people, to all the Gentiles, and to bring salvation to all the Gentiles, that God had established him for this purpose.
그래서 그가 큰 은혜를 받고 정말로 깊은 누구도 모르는 깊은 경지에 들어갔을 때에 성경 구절이 나와요. 디모데전서 1장 15절 나오는데 무슨 말씀이 나오느냐 하면은 mit보다 모든 사람이 받을 만한 이 말이요. 주 예수께서 이 땅에 오신 것은 죄인을 구원하시려고 세상에 임하셨는데 그 죄인 중에 내가 제일 괴수되는 죄인이 바로 자기라는 것을 그는 알고 느끼게 되었던 것입니다.
So we see that Paul's writings in the Bible came to him when he was in his deepest having his deepest spiritual experiences with God. And so in 1 Timothy 1:15, where is a good example where he said, this is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners. And among those sinners, he's saying, I am the chief of all those sinners.
요 며칠 전에 제가 로마인서를 좀 읽었는데 거기에 보아도 사도 바울 선생은 무슨 얘기를 했느냐 하면 의인은 없나니 한 사람도 없다. 깨닫는 자도 없고 하나님을 찾는 자도 없고 선을 행하는 자는 없나니 한 사람도 없다. 이런 이 내용을 읽으면서 그가 엄청나게 자기 자신을 발견하고 자기는 죄인 중에도 괴수이라는 것을 그는 느끼게 되었습니다.
So I was reading the Roman book of Romans a few days ago, and there in Romans 3:10, Paul says, "There is no one righteous, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks God. All have turned away; they have together become worthless, and there is no one who does good, not even one."
바울이 큰 일을 하게 되고 또 바울이 바울된 것은 자기 자신이 죄인 중에 죄인, 나는 죄인의 괴수라고 느꼈을 때에 하나님이 그를 잡아주셨습니다. 참 아버님도 나는 기뻐하셨을 것으로 생각이 되어져요. 예수님이 엄청나게 좋아하셨을 것입니다.
We see that Paul did his greatest works when he was in a state of deep repentance and when he was in a state of great humility. And that when he was, I think Father was very pleased with him in that sense. And also Jesus too was very pleased to see Paul be able to reach this kind of state of repentance.
바울은 정말로 자기를 지어주셨던 그 하나님을 바로 알게 되었어요. 말하자면 그는 정말로 하나님께서 나를 이 땅에 보내셨을 때의 그 처음 모습을 그리워하고 그 본 모습을 찾고 정말로 그걸 복귀하지 않으면 안 된다는 그 마음에서 그는 기도 많이 하고 정성을 들이고 또 그는 많은 선교를 하면서 순회를 했다고 볼 수 있습니다.
We see that Paul realized that God had created him in a certain way, and that he wanted to restore that original creation that God had intended, and so he worked to do that, and also to evangelize people so that he could spread God's word in that way.
바울이 이렇게 자기 자신이 아무것도 아닌 거라는 걸 알고 느끼고 회개했던 그 참 모습, 회심했던 그 모습, 이것을 우리는 오늘 기뻐하면서 우리 자신들도 정말로 그런 경지에 들어갈 수 있도록 노력해야 할 것입니다. 그런데 제가 보니까 성 어거스틴이 살아있을 때에 이런 말씀을 했어요. 교만은 덕과 상반되는 것이다. 교만은 덕 속에서 나와서 선의 모습을 가장하고 덕을 해방하는 것이다는 이런 말씀을 했습니다.
So we need to learn this morning from Paul's humility and from his conversion and from his experiences of repentance. But also St. Augustine spoke about pride and said it is the opposite of goodness.
마치 나무에 그 벌레가 버러지가 나무에서 나서 나무를 해하는 것과 같이 다른 악은 외부를 치는 것이지만은 교만은 무엇이냐면 우리의 영을 치는 것입니다.
Just like insects can invade a tree and can devour that tree, so also pride invades our heart and devours it.
다른 악은 한쪽만 치지만은 교만은 여러 면을 치는데 내가 아름다운 옷을 입을 때도 교만으로 그야말로 범죄할 때가 있는 것이고 또 아름다운 얼굴을 가지고 있는 미인들은 그 얼굴 때문에 죄를 지을 때가 많이 있는 것입니다.
Other forms of evil may attack only one aspect of us, but pride will attack us in many ways. And even, for example, a beautiful woman may sin when she takes pride in her beauty. She may be sinning because of her beautiful face.
교만이라는 것은 내가 재주가 많고 총명을 가지고 있다고 할 때에 그때에도 자기도 모르게 교만은 사방팔면으로부터 쳐들어오기 때문에 정말로 이긴다는 것은 어려운 것입니다.
pride attacks us from all directions, not just 4 directions, 8 directions, all directions. And so it is extremely difficult for us to overcome pride.
교만은 어느 때든지 말할 때도 일어나고 잠잠할 때도 사람 앞에나 혼자 있을 때도 일어나게 되는 것입니다.
Pride can come upon us when we are speaking, or it can also come upon us when we are sleeping.
늘 그림자와 같이 따라다니는 것입니다.
It follows us like a shadow.
육신이 쇠하여도 교만은 쇠하지 아니하며 지위가 높아지면은 교만은 정말로 더 따라다니면서 괴롭게 하는 것입니다.
Even though our bodies may deteriorate, pride does not deteriorate. And as our position rises, pride becomes that much stronger.
학식이 자라면은 교만이 따라서 자라게 되는 것입니다.
And as we grow in knowledge, pride also grows along with that growth of knowledge.
한 가지 선한 일을 하려면은 교만의 마음이 먼저 일어나는 것입니다.
And if we try to do something that is good, pride goes before that.
이 일이 성취되면 교만은 더욱 높아지는 것입니다.
And if we accomplish something, then pride grows that much.
햇빛이 아주 곱게 내리쪼일 때에 그림자가 없어지는 것 같이 우리가 정말로 하나님을 바로 곱게 우리가 쳐다볼 때만이 교만의 검은 그림자가 사라질 수 있는 것입니다.
Just as there is no shadow only when we are directly under the sun, so also it is only when we are directly under God that the shadow of pride can disappear from us.
우리가 하나님과 완전히 합할 때, 즉 하나 되어질 때에 내 몸 전체가 빛으로서 이렇게 높이 쌓이게 될 것입니다.
It's only when we are one with God that we can truly become the light to the world in this way.
우리가 하나님과 일체가 될 때에, 참 아버님과 일체가 될 때에, 예수님과 일체가 될 때에 나는 무한히 변화되어질 수 있습니다.
Only when we become one with God, only when we become one with our true Father, can we truly say that we have changed for eternity.
오늘 우리 자신들이 지어주시었던 첫 모습, 정말로 하나님께서 이러이러한 사람을 지어야 되겠다고 하는 타락 전 본모습으로 우리가 들어갔을 때에 정말로 천일국 시민의 자격이 여기에서 나타날 수 있고 천일국 앞에 모든 뜻이 성취되어질 것입니다.
We need to realize how God originally intended to create us. What kind of a person was He intending to create when He created each one of us? It's only when we realize this that we can and accomplish this that we can truly be qualified as citizens of Cheonilguk.
이 아침 우리는 정말로 하나님께서 처음 지어주시었던 그 본모습을 내가 이루었습니다. 이렇게 천일국 앞에 되어진 본모습을 자랑할 수 있는 우리가 되었으면 얼마나 좋겠습니까?
How wonderful it would be if we could truly say to God this morning, I know this is how you intended to create me, and I have accomplished that as a citizen of Cheonilguk.
우리는 천일국 앞에 하나님과 참 아버님, 예수님이 정말로 우리의 승리한 모습을 보시고 승리의 이 깃발을 온 천주 앞에 꽂을 때에 얼마나 하나님도 우리 아버님도 예수님도 기뻐하실 것입니다.
It's only imagine how wonderful it would be if we can say to God and show to God our victorious self, so that we have accomplished the victory and we have planted the flag of victory before the entire world. How God would be happy, how true Father would be happy, and how Jesus would be happy for that.
우리는 이 아침 하나님과 참 아버님 예수님, 또 이대 왕님과 왕비님, 승리한 가인 아벨 3대 왕권 만세를 불러도 부족함이 없다고 대해줄 수 있는 내 자신을 닦고 갈기 위해서 우리는 애를 쓰지 않으면 안 될 것입니다.
Let's sharpen ourselves. Let's polish ourselves so that we can become qualified to shout Ong Manse for God and for True Father and for the second King and Queen and for the victorious Cain and Abel.
이 아침 우리는 저 담에석에서 공중에서 주님이 정말로 사울아 사울아 부르면서 나는 네가 핍박하고 있는 예수인데 이걸 네가 따라주고 온 세상에 이 말씀을 전해달라고 바울에게 부탁했던 그 말씀을 생각하면서 우리 자신이 정말로 그런 경지에 들어가야 되겠어요. 그래서 그는 3일간 소경이 봉사가 되었대서요. 소경이 되었던 일이 있으며 정말로 아라비아에 가서 3년 동안 사도 바울은 묵상 신학을 했던 것입니다.
So let's remember the way in which God called out to, Jesus called out to Paul from heaven, and the voice from heaven, and saying that I am the Lord Jesus, whom you have persecuted. And then assigned, commissioned Paul to go into the world, to spread the word of God. And then Paul did this, and he went into Arabia for 3 years to do this.
그래서 바울의 겸손을 우리도 본받아서 정말로 겸손한 내 자신이 되어질 때에 하나님이 우리에게 찾아와서 역사하시고 협조하시고 함께 하셔서 오늘 하나님께서 또 더 나아가서 아버님께서 그토록 바라시고 원하시고 계시는 그 뜻이 무엇이냐? 이 땅 위에 온 인류가 다 같이 잘 살 수 있는 그 세계를 이루어놓은 이것을 우리들이 실천하고 우리들이 정말로 전 세계 인류 앞에 본으로 보여줄 수 있고 더 나아가서는 오늘 우리는 정말로 욕먹으면서 지금 나와 있는 우리들이에요. 그러니까 우리들을 통해서 하나님께서 참아버님께서 예수님께서 또 영계의 모든 영인들이 함께 역사하시고 협조하소서 빠른 시일 내에 정말로 이 땅 위에 원하시고 바라셨던 그 세계를 이루어 드릴 수 있는 내가 되고 또 이루어 드리는 일을 온 세계 인류가 다 같이 할 수 있는 그날을 우리들이 기다려야 되겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
Let's learn from the humility of Paul. We have come out into this place, even though the people are speaking ill of us. We have come here to accomplish God's will, and that will is to accomplish God's ideal in this world, and we can only do that from the position of deep humility and repentance. Thank you very much.
고맙습니다.
And we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. to the best in compact concealed carry. Carr Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Carr Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit carr.com today.
Remember when we were only children hoping for a friend? Won't you look around? These are the lives that the world has forgotten, waiting for doors of our hearts and our homes to open. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of days.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. This Thursday, May 4th, 2017, 8th year of Cheongi, 4th month, 9th day by the heavenly calendar. I'm your host, Hyungjae Sean Moon, second king of Cheongguk. And now we move to our top news section. Top news on drudgereport.com. Finale. Debate deluxe in France vote. Fireworks. Le Pen says country will be led by a woman, me or Mrs. Merkel. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant, Marine Le Pen. Brilliant, brilliant. Macron is 39 and his wife is 64. French women say it's about time. Republicans try again. Healthcare vote tomorrow is at the top news of drudgereport.com.
Tomorrow never comes.
On the left segment, yes, he did. How Obama proposed to academic, took drugs, and flirted with the idea of being gay. Poll, Trump approval hits 49%. Cannes Festival fears attack. Another man says Seattle mayor paid him for sex. Oh, Lord. Colbert defends, refuses to apologize. CBS shock with the cuck statement that he made. FCC steps in. Japan rejects more than 99% of refugee applicants. VOA suspends reporters over live stream of Chinese tycoons' graft accusations. Politician confiscates camera from man recording him. Activist faces jail time for laughing at AG Attorney General Sessions. Fan hit by stray bullet at St. Louis Cardinals game. The middle section here. Queen's household called to highly unusual emergency meeting. Servants from royal residences across the country gather at Buckingham Palace. Prince Philip drama. Report Obama mine NSA intercept for intel on thousands of Americans during 2016 elections. Susan Rice declines to testify. Trump to ease rules on church political activity. California may add third gender option, intersex, to state documents. Oh boy, here we go again. Flames fatality at Venezuela demo. Wow. Armored car hits crowd, leaving 300 injured. Overtreating and overscreening, harming patients. Cord cutting spikes fivefold in cable. TV's worst quarter ever. Media stocks tumble. North Korea says detained American tried to overthrow government. Issues rare rebuke of China. U.S. commando set to hit Kim nuke sites. Mysterious artificial islands. Beijing urges citizens to return home. Another missile test fired from California. Teacher guilty of misconduct for talking sex and putting legs behind head in class. Authorities recall gin accidentally made twice as strong. Next gen bionic hand sees and grabs objects instantly. Police avert Facebook live suicide. Puerto Rico declares a bankruptcy. Largest effort ever made by government to shield itself from creditors. Over 140 gang members face federal charges in San Diego County. Black branding, how developers marketed DC neighborhood to white millennials. Violence gave newcomers something to talk about at parties. Opioid crisis at epidemic proportions. Raul Castro's daughter, his successor, may surprise Cubans. London, home to largest number of millionaire CEOs in the world. Plot thickens in FBI probe of Bernie Sanders' wife. And fight over parking spot leads to shooting at park. There you go, folks. That is the top news on drudgereport.com. One of the top stories on Obamacare, on Breitbart.com is Obamacare repeal stalled by moderate Republican opposition. The White House and Republicans in Congress remain hopeful about prospects for repealing Obamacare despite mounting moderate GOP opposition. Both President Trump and Vice VP Pence, in television interviews on Sunday, said they were confident they would win enough votes to repeal Obamacare. Trump said, "I didn't put a timeline on it," he added. "Now we have a really good bill. I think they could have voted on Friday." Monday morning, White House economic advisor Gary Cohn said the administration thinks it possesses the votes to repeal Obamacare. Cohn told CBS, "This is going to be a great week. We're going to get health care down to the floor of the House. We're convinced to get the votes, and we're going to keep moving on with our agenda." Gary Cohn and Dana Powell being connected to Goldman Sachs. And I believe Gary Cohn is also he's also a Democrat. So you have a situation where, again, you have these fraudsters through Ivanka, the weak link, coming in and starting to influence the Trump administration. We don't know how good this plan is. All we know that the House Freedom Caucus, or the Freedom Coalition, was able to stop Obamacare Light and Ryan Care Light last time, as it was simply the same prescriptions as Obamacare, the same robbery that forces all citizens to pay a handful of monopolistic foreign insurance companies being covered for things that they don't even need, not allowing it to be open to the free market, and not allowing competition to drive prices down and quality up, allowing people freedom of choice to choose what products and services are good for them. No, we don't want people to choose. No, we don't want people to have free choice. No, we don't want people to have options. We want people to pay into a monopolistic government system where they can pay off their crony capitalist friends and their crony capitalist international contacts. Ridiculous. This article goes on to explain the representatives such as Rand Paul, Mike Lee, and Ted Cruz were the strongest opponents of the American Health Care Act, or Ryan Care. Senator Paul crafted his own conservative plan for repealing Obamacare and worked with the Freedom Caucus to push for an even more conservative Obamacare repeal bill. The Freedom Caucus endorses Senator Paul's plan, or Senator Rand Paul's plan. Outside conservative groups, etc., such as Club for Growth and Freedom Works, endorse the MacArthur amendment to bolster conservative support. So, Trump tweets, "You can't compare anything to Obamacare because Obamacare is dead. Dems want billions to go to insurance companies to bail out donors. New healthcare plan is on its way. We will have much lower premiums and deductibles while at the same time taking care of pre-existing conditions." So we'll have to see. We will have to see what is released. Last time when Ryan Care failed, Senator Rand Paul came out with a scathing, excoriating analysis of the breakdown event, showed that it had the same type of hidden premiums. It had the same type of fees, taxes, personal mandates, all those things that would just simply enrich and bloat, funnel tunnels of money and tunnels of cash to the foreign insurance companies, of which most likely Ryan and these Republican rhinos and Democrats, of course, are getting huge benefits from, which is the reason why they're so staunchly trying to keep it alive. Insanity, total insanity. On other news, U.S. tests intercontinental ballistic missile from California. There you go. Wednesday, May 3rd, yes, there it is, Wednesday, in Washington, the U.S. Air Force test launched an unarmed intercontinental ballistic missile from California early Wednesday, the military said. Air Force Global Strike Command spokesman Joe Thomas told AFP from California that the test was routine and not meant to be a show of force in a standoff with North Korea over its nuclear and ballistic missile program. Yeah, right.
Everything is routine.
The Minuteman III missile blasted up from Vandenberg Air Force Base at 0702 GMT. The Strike Command said in a statement, let's take a look at this ballistic missile. There's an ad for 30 seconds, so we'll jump down here. The missile traveled some 4,200 miles and went down near a Pacific Ocean atoll that is part of the Marshall Islands and features a U.S. military ballistic missile test site. The Minuteman III, capable of being fitted with nuclear warhead, is tested like this about 4 times a year, said Linda Frost. Air Force's photos of the launch show bright, roaring flames at the moment of liftoff, then a pale, slender orange trail across the night sky as the missile arced over the ocean. These test launches verify the accuracy and reliability of ICBM weapon system, providing valuable data to ensure a continued safe, secure, and effective nuclear deterrent, the Strike Command said in a statement. The ICBM test launch program demonstrates the operational capability of the Minuteman III and ensures the United States' ability to maintain strong, credible nuclear deterrent as a key element of national security. There you go. And we're having a little technical difficulties. You're trying to see that play. There you go. We can see it on this small little screen here, but not on the big screen. So there you go. There it is. There's a picture of it. The intercontinental ballistic missile being shot out in California. Also, North Korea says latest detained American tried to overthrow government, Kim Sang-dok, who taught accounting at a private Pyongyang university, was intercepted last month. Can you sign in and get this article, Tim?
Yes, I can. It's a Wall Street Journal article.
Let's cover this article. Go ahead, Tim.
It says U.S. citizen detained last month in North Korea is being investigated for seeking to overthrow the government, the country's state-controlled news agency said. Kim Sang-dok committed criminal acts of hostility aimed to overturn North Korea not only in the past but also during his last day before interception, the Korean Central News Agency said Wednesday, adding that the interception had taken place April 22nd at Pyongyang's International Airport. His wife, who was with him in Pyongyang, returned to the U.S. shortly after his detention, according to a person familiar with the matter. Mr. Kim, also known by his English name Tony, taught at Pyongyang University of Science and Technology. The school, founded by a Korean-American businessman, last month said that Mr. Kim had been detained as part of an investigation into matters that are not connected in any way with the work of PUST, and declined to comment on any of his activities beyond his teaching work. According to the KCNI, his subject was accounting. South Korea's Yonhap News Agency reported last month that Mr. Kim is in his late 50s and had been involved in aid work in North Korea. It said he was in the country to discuss relief activities. Mr. Kim is the third known U.S. citizen to be detained by North Korea in recent months. Pyongyang last year sentenced Otto Warmbier, a University of Virginia undergraduate arrested for allegedly trying to steal a political poster from a hotel, and Kim Dong-chul, a Korean-American businessman to terms of 15 years and 10 years of hard labor, respectively. The U.S. State Department spokesman last month declined to comment on Tony Kim's case, citing privacy concerns, but said that the department typically works with the Swedish embassy in Pyongyang when U.S. citizens are detained. Representatives for the U.S. Embassy in Seoul didn't immediately respond Wednesday to requests for comment. It mentioned in this here that actually Tony Kim is also a pastor, and that the PUST, the institution where he was working at, was also created by Christians. And a lot of times when North Korea says someone's trying to overturn the government, they mean that they're spreading God's word. They consider that to be a very hostile act against their state. And so this may be something like that, but we don't know the details yet.
But the gospel is hostile against the tyrants and the archangels.
Absolutely, and they know it.
There it is. For he preached his kingdom to come and Jesus to be king. North Korea issues direct criticism of China amid nuke disputes. Reported by AP. We'll take a short break and we'll see you back with more on North Korea. Stay with us.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Then they will be brave Just looking back at me, will we leave behind the innocent to grieve on their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun? These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these. When we love the least of these. Break our hearts once again. Help us to remember when we were only children hoping for a friend. Won't you look around? These are the lives that the world has forgotten, waiting for doors of our hearts and our homes to open. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these. When we love the least of these. If not us, who will be like Jesus to the least of these? If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Thursday, May 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungni Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, broadcasting live from the Cheongguk Palace. And we are back with more news on Korea. Seoul, Korea. North Korea has issued a rare direct criticism of China through a commentary saying its reckless remarks on the North's nuclear program are testing its patience and could trigger unspecified grave consequences. Now they're threatening China.
Yes.
Oh, Lord mercy. China, North Korea's largest trading partner and main benefactor, suspended imports on North Korean coal in line with UN sanctions and has been urging its traditional ally to stop nuclear and missile activities amidst U.S. pressure to use its leverage to resolve the nuclear standoff. The commentary released Wednesday by the state-run Korean Central News Agency said that a string of absurd and reckless remarks are now heard from China every day, only to render the present situation, bad situation, tenser. The article cited commentaries by Chinese state media that it said shifted the blame for deteriorating bilateral relations onto the North and raised, quote, lame excuses for the base acts of dancing to the tune of the U.S. I guess he wasn't happy about President Xi Jinping dancing with Trump in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, at the golf resort. And Trump saying that Xi Jinping is a good guy. Quote, China should no longer try to test the limits of the DPRK's patience, the North Korean commentary said, using its official name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Quote, China had better ponder over the grave consequences to be entailed by its reckless act of chopping down the pillar of the DPRK-China relations. The article was not distributed to any government agency or official. The writer was identified only as Kim Chol. Still, it's unusual for the North to directly criticize China. Previously, it has couched such criticism by referring to China only as a neighboring country. Chinese state media, meanwhile, have recently unleashed regular and harsh criticism over North Korea's actions. The Global Times, an outspoken nationalist tabloid published by the ruling party, Communist Party's flagship People's Daily, warned in the Thursday editorial that North Korea's actions threatened a 1961 treaty of non-aggression between the two countries. It called on the regime to end its nuclear tests. If that's coming out of that People's Daily, you know that they've been given the order, or at least the allowance, to rein in North Korea. China will not allow its northeastern region to be contaminated by North Korea's nuclear activities, the Global Times declared. Wow, that's quite a strong statement. In recent days, the paper also warned that China was able to strike back at any side that crossed the red line and would impose an oil embargo against the North in response to any more tests. The North Korean commentary said it's China that crossed the red line. The People's Daily declared Sunday and again Tuesday that the North's nuclear ambitions put itself and the whole region into dire peril.
So it looks like, China may be about to take care of this situation. North Korea is getting wind of that, and they're striking back. The relationship between China and North Korea is often described as being as close in lips and teeth, but it looks like the teeth may be about to bite the lip or something.
Well, it looks like the Trump effect is having its effect on Mr. Xi Jinping. The organ harvesting Chinese commie. But it seems like they are putting pressure on North Korea. U.S. commandos set to counter North Korean nuclear sites, neutralizing Pyongyang's nuclear chemical arms warfighting priority, SOCOM, commander says, by Bill Gertz. U.S. Special Operations Forces are set to conduct operations against North Korea, nuclear, missile, and other weapons of mass destruction sites in any future conflict, the commander of Special Operations Command, or SOCOM, told Congress Tuesday. Army General Raymond A. Thomas stated in testimony to a House subcommittee that Army, Navy, Air Force commandos are based both permanently and in rotations on the Korean Peninsula in case conflict breaks out. The special operations training and preparation is a warfighting priority. Thomas said in prepared testimony, there are currently about 8,000 special operations troops deployed in more than 80 countries. We're actively pursuing a training path to ensure readiness for the entire range of contingency operations in which special operations forces, to include our exquisite counter weapons of mass destruction capabilities, may play a critical role, he told the subcommittee on emerging threats. We are looking comprehensively at our force structure and capabilities in the peninsula and across the region to maximize our support to U.S. Pacific Command and U.S. Forces Korea. This is my warfighting priority for planning and support. Disclosure of the commander's comments comes as tensions remain high on the peninsula. President Trump has vowed to deal harshly with North Korea should another underground nuclear test be carried out. Test preparations have been identified in recent weeks, U.S. officials have said. Trump said on Sunday that China appears to be pressuring North Korea, but that he would be upset if North Korea carries out another nuclear test. If he does a nuclear test, I will not be happy, he said on CBS Face the Nation, or Deface the Nation. Asked if his unhappiness would translate into a U.S. military response, Trump said, I don't know. We'll see. General Thomas's testimony did not include details of what missions the commandos would carry out. a spokesman for the SOCOM referred questions about potential operations in Korea to the Pacific Command. Special Forces troops would be responsible for locating and destroying North Korean nuclear weapons and missile delivery systems, such as mobile missiles. They also would seek to prevent the movement of weapons out of the country during a conflict. Additionally, Special Operations Commandos could be used for operations to kill North Korean leaders, such as Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un and other senior regime figures. Special operation missions are said by military experts to include intelligence gathering on the location of nuclear and chemical weapons sites for targeting by bombers. They're also likely to include direct action assaults on facilities to sabotage a weapon or to prevent their weapons from being stolen or set off at the sites by the North Koreans. Now, if any of this even happens, it's not as easy as sending SOCOM in to take out the nuclear sites, because you have all this artillery pointing at Seoul. Huge, you understand? Huge, big barrels, massive barrels, like that big, pointed at Seoul, ready to drop 10,000 plus shells of artillery upon that city within 1 per hour, folks, per hour. Every hour. Now, the U.S. would have to take out all the nuclear sites, or at least start bombing them, attacking them. And they would have to also start disassembling all those artillery weapons, which is impossible, because they have them strewn out against the 38th parallel in that area. Not only in one location, they're not all sitting there in one hive so that you can bomb it and destroy it. But we're talking about thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of casualties. As what is the population of Seoul? 8 million? No, more than 8 million.
Well, population of Seoul itself probably is
10
only
million.
about 8 or 10 million, but there are about 20 million people living in and around
in the vicinity.
Seoul.
So we are talking about massive collateral damage. Massive. And of course, Trump has said that he doesn't want a bloodbath on that peninsula. He doesn't want a bloodbath where millions of people may die.
And South Korea keeps saying, we've got 230,000 Americans living here. Remember that?
There you go. And of course, North Korea continues to escalate, continues to push their boundaries. But one part of the good news is that China seems to be pressuring and pushing them to stop this escalation
Yeah, if China takes care of the problem, that's probably the best possible
scenario.
scenario among all bad scenarios.
Special operation missions are said by military experts to include intelligence gathering on the location of nuclear and chemical weapon sites. A defense official said U.S. commandos in the past have trained for covert operations against several types of nuclear facilities, including reactors and research centers. Scale models of some North Korean weapons facilities have been built in the U.S. for practice operations by commandos. The most secret direct action operations would be carried out by special units such as the Navy's SEAL Team 6 or Army's Delta Force. Thomas said the command in January took over the role of coordinating Pentagon efforts to counter weapons of mass destruction from the Strategic Command. The mission includes stopping the spread of weapons of mass destruction and dealing with the aftermath of weapons. North Korea is believed to have around 20 nuclear devices and is developing nuclear warheads small enough to be carried on long-range missiles. It also has stockpiles of chemical weapons and biological warfare agents. Many of North Korea's nuclear facilities are believed to be located underground in fortified locations across the country. The last rotation of Special Operation Forces in South Korea took place in February, when parts of the 1st Special Forces Group Airborne and the 75th Ranger Regiment joined South Korean troops for training. The training took place in mountainous parts of South Korea in a bid to simulate the rough terrain commandos would experience during operations in North Korea. Other training took place on the seas. General Thomas in his testimony identified North Korea as one of 5 current and enduring military threats outlined in the new military strategy produced by the Marine Corps. General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The 4 other threats are terrorism. The 4 other threats are terrorism, Russia, Iran, and China. Did you hear that? 5 current and enduring military threats. North Korea is the first. Second is terrorism. which is not a country, by the way. Russia, Iran, and China. Terrorism, which is not a country. How can you wage war on terrorism? That's like waging war on hypochondriacs or something. It's like waging war on a virus. Waging war on a action. On terror. That's like waging war on fear or something, or waging war on an emotion. The war on terrorism has been a justification for the perpetual state of warfare that we have engaged in. We've not only engaged in warfare, and there, as they say, only 5 current enduring military threats: Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea. We've been engaging in wars all throughout the Middle East for the last 15 plus years. Since 82 in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about 20, 30 years. My goodness, we've been just at perpetual war, and the Bush's war on terrorism has just been a trope to allow for the justification of constant, perpetual funding and money stream for the military-industrial complex. Asked about the new strategy, a Joint Chiefs of Staff spokesperson said the latest national military strategic strategy is secret. A classified national military strategy will make it more difficult for adversaries to develop counter strategies, and also enables the chairman to give the best military advice to the President and Secretary of Defense. Navy Captain General Hicks said. Command has recently focused more intently on the emerging threat that is of growing concern to us as well as most of our DoD teammates. The nuclear threat of an increasing rogue North Korea. There you go, folks. There you go. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. There's so much more.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report this Thursday, May 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Chaniguk, and we are now moving to BBC News, covering a bionic hand that sees and grabs objects automatically. Bionic hand that sees objects instantly decides what kind of grip to adopt. Has been developed by scientists. A converter using a camera to assess an object's shape and size, then to trigger the correct movement to pick it up. Technology was developed at Newcastle University and been trailed by a small number of amputees. Dr. Kianush Nazapur, a senior lecturer of biomedical engineering at the university, said the bionic hand can respond automatically. That would be interesting if they had a video of that. But here is the bionic hand that can react to objects that it grabs. On other news on Drudge, not welcome. Japan, tough to crack for refugees. See, Japan actually is very strict in protecting their culture and border. It has been a decade since Lilian saw her last little girl. She fled to Africa in fear of her life, leaving behind everything she knew and loved in the hope of a fresh start in Japan. Today she scrapes a living from dead-end jobs, and what Japanese she knows has been snatched from television shows. There's little government help for people like her. Free language courses are limited. Social housing is hard to find. Discrimination is rife. Yet Lilian is regarded as one of the lucky ones. She was granted refugee status in Japan, a country which refuses more than 99% of cases. It has not been easy, she tells AFP, speaking under a pseudonym. She adds here, they do not pay for your studies, they do not help you to get bank loans, or give you social housing. We are left to ourselves, we have to fight alone. Anti-refugee sentiment is rising in Europe and the United States, but in Japan, those seeking haven from tyranny and war have long faced daunting legal and social gauntlets. One of the world's wealthiest countries, Japan, accepted 28 refugees in 2016, one more than the previous year, out of 8,193 applicants renewed by the Immigration Bureau. Officials defend the low number, saying applicants are mainly from Asian countries seeking access to Japan solely for economic reasons. The number of applications from regions which generate lots of refugees, such as Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, is small. Those who are, quote, fleeing persecution, assisted by the, who's the culprit there? Who's the culprit? The two-letter culprit. The UN. The UN. Lilian was able to claim asylum on arriving in Japan, stating that her life was in danger due to tribal conflict back at home. It took 2 years for officials to accept her as a refugee, period during which she received assistance from the Catholic Church and charities. You see, and that's how it used to be. It used to be before the federal governments of the world federalized everything doing to with compassion and dealing with charity, because they wanted to morally posture and steal the citizens' good deeds and good rights, good actions in helping their fellow neighbor. But of course, they continue to bring in, and I saw an interesting debate on Australian TV the other day, where politicians were debating with different proponents of immigration. That they were saying, why aren't we bringing the persecuted minorities like the Sikhs or the Jews or the Christians into our country? Why do you want to bring the fundamentalist Muslims in, which potentially have about a 10% risk of having terrorism? If you had a 10% chance of cancer, would you inject cancer cells into your body? I mean, he didn't say that, but that's basically what it is. Okay, so the doctor said inject this cancer cell into your body. You have a 10% chance of getting cancer. Would you do it? See, that brings it home a little bit. Doesn't that bring it home? Would you do it? And he said, it's crazy. He didn't use that example. I'm giving that example. But he said, essentially, we have to stop these Muslims, the fundamentalist Muslims we shouldn't be bringing in. We already have a big Muslim population in Australia. We should bring in, if we're going to help the refugees, people who are actually persecuted, like Jews and Christians, who can adapt much more quickly to a Judeo-Christian principle-based culture, and a Western culture that is predominantly heavily Christian, heavily Judeo-Christian in values and principles. But she feels the status brought new benefits. She is no closer to reuniting with her child, now a teenager. Her daughter has repeatedly been denied a permit to even visit. For Lilian, further education and stable life seem out of reach. She explained Japan is very difficult treatment for foreigners. The language is really a handicap for us. You need to do absolutely everything to try to speak Japanese, but you don't know where to find free lessons. And again, there you go. It's obviously better than the country she came from, which is the reason why she's staying there. She's not going back to her country. She's still staying in Japan, despite all that she says that is bad about it. The fact that they don't give her free education, free health care, free this, free that. Yes, they don't need, a country doesn't need to give free anything to people. It shouldn't give free things because people are the ones who can create the wealth. And when the federal governments and archangels pretend that they're the ones that create wealth, all they do is steal it from people who do. And then morally posture by distributing it to others, primarily their bureaucrats. What was that article you covered yesterday with the 2.2 million
Yes.
federal employees? And
Yes, federal workforce, 2.2 million.
and what was the spending on that? Billions and billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions.
Yeah, it was hundreds of billions of
Hundreds of
dollars.
billions.
I seem to remember the figure 200 billion or something like that, yes.
I mean, the salaries alone of all those federal employees is an outrage.
Wages and compensation and benefits, yes.
Oh my goodness, what an outrage. I mean, how much money they have to steal from the public to do that? Nobody is entitled for free this, free that, free that. You have a right to, you have a opportunity to make the most of a great situation. Obviously, her situation in Japan is better than her situation in Somalia, wherever she was from. And of course, she's trying to make her the best of that situation. But again, complaining that you don't get free lessons or free this and free that doesn't help her situation out. Oh, there she is, from Myanmar, fleeing Myanmar.
I think that, isn't that a separate case?
But for Nonan, being awarded refugee status would give at least a sense of belonging. She fled military persecution in her native Myanmar 25 years ago, but remains in frustrating legal limbo, accepted only on humanitarian stay visa.
Yeah, I think the reporter here is referring to a second case now.
It's like I have no nationality for a 7-year-old who only gave her childhood nickname. She has tried to forge a life in Japan. She married a man from Myanmar who is also claiming asylum, and they have a son and daughter. Okay, that's another, yes. But their children are effectively stateless, not recognized in Myanmar, nor as Japanese citizens. Refugee advocates say Japan's system is too harsh. Of course they say it's too harsh because they're communists and they don't believe that a country should have borders and or a culture. But of course, the great draw of Japan, the reason why everybody in the West wants to go to Japan at least once and experience it, is it has such a strong culture. It's such a unique culture with, pagan shrines, Shinto shrines, all that kind of stuff. But unique architecture, unique culture, unique tea ceremony, it's a very unique culture. Nobody wants a monoculture, which the liberal left is pushing, even though they claim that they're multicultural. They want this freaking monoculture where everybody's a globalist, everybody's a relativist, everybody gets rid of their culture and identifies with the UN's identity that they give us, which is we're supposed to be this global city where everybody has the same culture, which is what? Super elite and everybody else is slave class. That's our super culture. That's their solution for human diversity. A monoculture. It is ridiculous. It is beautiful of the world. Even though we don't agree with the pagan beliefs of Japan, it's beautiful that they have they have a culture, because even that pagan culture is better than these globalist Satanists. It's not the highest, but it's better than Satanism and Luciferianism. Although its political system is definitely leaning political Satanist. The fact of the matter is that these UN global centralists wish to cut off humanity's ties to our history, ties to our culture, ties to our heritage, ties to our identity, so that they can force feed us a new identity, a bionic identity, a genetically modified identity, a vaccinated identity, a chemicalized identity, a weak body, a weak mind, a controlled mind, a prison indoctrination program from the elementary school onward, where we are weak, we don't unlock our epigenetics, we don't know how to fight against evil, we don't know how to identify evil, we have no proper amygdala function in our brain. Why? All for the sake of centralized power and archangelic power. No! We do not want that kind of demonic presence on the earth, for we know there are principalities, powers, and rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places, of which Satan and his demons are literally behind the scenes working through these individuals who sell their souls to Lucifer. We're gonna show you all a shocking video up next about the Luciferians and a expose interview. We'll be right back. Stay right there.
At break of day, in hope we rise. We speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise. We speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. This Thursday, May 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, as we talk about grandchildren.
Yes, what a wonderful
And the
topic.
joy of grandchildren. We were talking about during the break that, I look at my dog's puppies and we think it's so cute. And me and the Queen were talking this morning. Oh my gosh, your little puppy is so cute. So cute. We can't even imagine how freaking cute our grandbabies will be. I mean, that will be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous how cute they are. Okay? I mean, at least to us.
To everyone, I'm sure.
It's going to be an incredible thing. And I said, I'm going to be like a granddaddy in my 40s, which of course wasn't weird. It wasn't weird. We have this culture where everybody's trying to have a baby at 40 years old. That's not only is it unhealthy. I mean, women at their 40 years old, their eggs are almost dead. They're shriveled up, dried up, and almost dead. It's desert in terms of egg production for women. You have higher risk of birth defects, disease, maternal death, etc. It's healthier to have babies young, where your body can handle it and you're fresh and strong physically, where you can handle the things that are necessary for the baby. Now, when you're 40 years old and you're a wrinkled old 40-year-old trying to have babies with your wrinkled old ovaries and dried up eggs, now you got some problems. You got some problems. Because now the maximum you can have is one or two, and this is a problem with the West. Of course, you were talking about immigration and the culture and heritage. You need to have babies. You need to have babies. That's why Father he gave prizes to families that have babies, like 6, 7, 8 babies. The Muslims on average have 8 babies. 8. There's a problem. The Christians don't have no babies. That's why they were replaced by the culture and heritage of radical jihadi Wahhabi Islam. And what's wonderful about having kids when you're younger, like in your 20s, is that you can grow up with them. Look at this. I'm 37. And I'm literally training with my boys. I'm training my daughter. I'm trained when the young kids have not trained yet, they're doing wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's shocking for people in this modern, quote, age. We were on the plane when we went to Scout, Colorado real quick. And there was this very cute baby with her grandma and mom, whatever. And then we were about to get out of the plane, and the queen was like, oh, so cute, the baby. And then she just blurted out, oh, we have 5 children. They're so cute. And the people look at her like, how old are you? How old are you? What are you, 27? How you have 5 children? By the time I think she was 27, she did have 5 children. Do we have, let me see, 2006? How old were you when we had Diggy? Were you 27?
29. 'Cause I had
Okay, by the time, before she was 30, she had 5 children. So that's not actually, but the fact that our children are like teenagers, okay, that's shocking for people. She went to pick up Shimpai when he was in high school, like 9th grade, 10th grade. She went to pick him up at school. And all the boys said, who is that girl with you? Is that your girlfriend? You're not going to hear compliments like that when you're a 60-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old. I don't care how fit you are, okay? But actually, it's such a blessing having them young. We're able to do so many adventures with them because our physical bodies, and still, of course, we still stay in shape, relatively shape compared to our 20s, etc. Because we've continued to, at least myself, I've continued to train, and I'm getting her in training too. So she's become more fit, more strong. The queen is probably in the best shape of her life. Could you, Ma? You probably have more muscle, and you're probably most fit. You're actually most athletic you've ever been.
I never did this much.
She used to be a little
my
jellyfish. She used to be a little.
My training is a drawing, painting.
What's your exercise for today? I painted a picture. She did absolutely no physical exercise. It's ridiculous. Thank God she got into aerobics and those kind of things, and not cardio and stuff like that. But of course, now that she do combat training, now she's building some real muscle. She builds a real, body tone. She builds some real, shoulders and biceps, and builds some real leg muscles. And boy, she looks great. She looks more gorgeous and more hot than when she was 90 years old when I stole her.
Thank you. Let's get back to things.
When I stole her. No. There she is, praising God with her hands. All right, okay, we're getting back to the top news. And it's quick, a massive shift. Shocking news. InfoWars broke this story. This was broke 2 days ago by Paul Joseph Watson. Ex-banker claims he was invited to take part in child sacrifice rituals. Quote, these people were Luciferians. There he is right there. A former Deutsche banker right there has given a sit-down interview which he claims that he was invited by members of the financial elite to participate in child sacrifice rituals. Look at that. Boom. This is why we call it political Satanism. Because the financial elite who rule the world, at least huge parts of it, huge swaths of it, are literal Luciferians. Ronald Bernard was a successful entrepreneur who ran a number of businesses before entering the world of finance. Upon doing so, he was told by his peers to put his conscience in the freezer. I was trained to become a psychopath and I failed, said Bernard. Let's take a look at his video.
To put it carefully, most of these people followed a not very mainstream religion. So, you have Catholics, Protestants, all sorts of religions. These people, most of them, were Luciferians. And then you can say, religion is a fairy tale. God doesn't exist. None of that is real. Well, for these people, it is truth and reality. And they served something immaterial, what they called Lucifer.
Boom!
And I also was in contact with those circles, only I laughed at it because to me they were just clients. So, I went to places called Churches of Satan.
So now we are talking about Satanism.
Yes. So, I visited these churches, just as a visitor, dropped by. And then they were doing their holy mass with naked woman and liquor and stuff. And it just amused me. I didn't believe in any of this stuff, and was far from convinced if any of this was real.
It was just a spectacle to you.
Yes. In my opinion, the darkness and evil is within the people themselves. I didn't make the connection yet. So I was a guest in those circles and it amused me greatly to see all those named women and the other things.
Naked women.
It was the good life. But then at some point, I was invited, which is why I'm telling you all this, to participate in sacrifices abroad. That was the breaking point. Children.
You were asked to do that?
Yes. And I couldn't do that.
Would you like to stop for a moment, by the way?
No. And then I started to slowly break down. I lived through quite a lot as a child myself, and this really touched me deeply. Everything changed. But that is the world I found myself in. And then I started to refuse assignments within my job. I could no longer do it, which made me a threat. I was no longer capable of functioning optimally. My performance started to shake and I had refused tasks. I had not participated. The purpose of the whole thing, eventually, in that world, is that they have everybody in their pocket. You need to be susceptible to blackmail. And blackmailing me proved to be very hard if I look back on it. They wanted to do that through those children. And that broke me.
Is that, you are not telling me something new, what they also do in politics?
If you Google this, you'll find enough worldwide witness accounts to know this isn't a Walt Disney fairy tale. Unfortunately, the truth is that worldwide they have been doing this for thousands of years.
Bam! Look at that. This Deutsche Banker Bernard's background checks out. He is profiled in this De Volkskrant article from 2017, January. He goes on to describe how elitists saw the people as useless parasites and were completely content to crash economies and destroy companies to enrich themselves. Bernard then relates how he was invited to participate in occult satanic rituals with others. It's all about selling your soul. That's cool and trendy. It's all about selling your soul. You'll get immaterial power. It's all about selling your soul. You will channel your inner you. Just give in to this dark side. Don't worry about how you implode economies. Don't worry about those stupid parasite peoples. Just think about the luxury and wealth. Think how happy your family will be. Think about you can send your kids to the best private schools. Think about all the joys you could have and the luxuries you can delight in. Come on, it's not that difficult. We all did it. Look at our yachts and look at our private schools and look at all our beautiful mistresses and oh, but there's a little thing you have to do. You have to come to these churches of Satan. You have to attend the black masses as ways of vetting you first. And as we see your conscience collapsing and your humanity diminishing from your soul. And as your heart and body and mind is overtaken by the lusts and the darkness and disease of the demons, we'll bring you into the deeper, deeper circles. And this Deutschbrenker is explaining how he was brought in closer and closer to what? The root. What was the root? What was the root of these elite class? The pedophile rings. What is the root? What are they connected to? Why are they doing these things? Why are they inviting to child sacrifice rings and child sacrifice rituals? Why? Because Satan has demanded this for thousands of years. Thousands. And he even mentioned that. These are ancient rituals that are even mentioned in the Bible with Baal worship and Ashtaroth worship, etc., where they're killing babies, killing the innocent for spiritual power. Many of these occultists which believe just simply in energy, and they want to take the most pure form of energy, which is undefiled and untainted and unstained, which are children. Many of which are not only parasites, many of which are predators, not only which are murderers, but also cannibals. Just like they would consume a piece of lettuce for energy or kale, or just like they would eat some kind of meat for energy, they see human flesh as the taboo energy source that has secret powers to give them longevity, healthier body, fairer skin, literally a tradition of not only vampirism, cannibalism, but also satanic ritual sacrifice. See, that's why we call it political Satanism, folks. Because in the end, all the heads, all the tops of all the centralized powers, somewhere or another, are not, if not included in these circles, are blackmailable by these circles. Because in the end, folks, it is a criminal crime syndicate. And just like if you had to enter the Bloods and the Crips or any other type of gang, they make you go and shoot some grandma down the street, or make you just murder somebody with no reason, and then you're included in their club. Because now you're in compromise, and now that you proved yourself to do whatever, anything they tell you for the sake of being in that club. That's how Satan holds you in. And of course, he lures you in with parties with naked ladies and bikini girls and all that crap. There's nothing wrong with a woman in a bikini and a naked, beautiful woman. If she's your wife, that's the place for the exploration of sexuality and intimacy and nakedness. Not in stupid parties which lure you in to be blackmailed. All those in the kingdom must know this, because as you become more successful and prosperous and blessed, you'll have people that try to blackmail you. Try to send beautiful women your way. Try to send young, fit, little bucks and handsome men your way when you get 30s and in your 40s. And when you women and your raging hormones, when you're 40, you're like a horny little teenage boy. Send your way some handsome little young men with ripped abs and talking about they like older women. No, you're susceptible too. That's why even at the Cheonilgung, here there's a pool there. And we're looking into changing that into aquaponics system. Because honestly, I know if I have that pool in the Cheonilgung, it's not because the kids are bad or anything, but they're going to want to go swimming, and they're here in this top mountain with a beautiful swimming pool, and everybody's swimming, and then you're then going to have, oh, I want to invite my friends, and then they got the girls coming, and then the girls got the swimming suits on, they got their bikinis on, and all this crap comes in. Not saying that they're actually, but they don't even know, but they just get sucked into it, and get sucked into showing off their bodies and checking out girls at the swimming pool. Which is not the spirit you want in the Chanilgung Palace, the first palace of True Father's kingship. Which is the reason why we'll use it obviously as a heat dump, etc., for the solar panels, etc. But I don't want a pool. I don't want the Miami Beach culture. I don't want the Californication culture. I don't want bikini girls running around this place. Because that leads to destruction of the future generations. Leads to future destruction. Future temptation. Unnecessary temptation. That then pulls people unwittingly into the vortex and spiral of Satanism without them even knowing they're going towards that path. That is a modern mass media way to pull people more into Satanism, to relativize them from modesty and from what God says to them, that their nakedness and sexuality is beautiful, but it should be explored in marriage, together with your husband, together with your wife. You can stare at your naked wife all day long. That's not a problem. But you're not supposed to be staring at, having good, quote, good times with bikini girls sitting around a pool. You see what I'm saying? See how that's a problem? Especially when you're a young, fit young man like my boys. They don't even know. That kind of culture is no good. It is fallen. Because people focus on the material and not on the deeper essences of practice and training and development of the mind-body dialectic in unity with God. They don't want to go stupid swimming more and trying to get more naked girls to the swimming pool instead of focusing on their dang training. Not that they're bad or anything. It's just a natural you're gonna do, because at that age, you see a naked woman or girls in bikinis is like heaven. So, because their daddy has wisdom, and because their daddy is mature, I understand those realities. I understand their nature, which is not bad. It's not those instincts are bad. Those instincts are there for their beautiful wife, for their beautiful husband. Not so that you can taste with your eyes other women's flesh and bikini bodies hanging around a pool talking about, I'm in a holy palace. No! That then becomes Satan, demonic Satanism, without them knowing, opens their heart and soul towards Satanism. And look where it ends up, folks. In the end, you open yourself to relativism, you are now down the slippery slide, because now you have to say, worshiping Jesus and worshiping Satan is the same. No difference, just different cultures. No, one protects children, one eats children, one kills children. As you see with this Deutsche Banker. We're going to take a short break. I need a little break here. And we'll be right back after this.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Board. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. Talking about this incredibly disturbing but revealing Deutsche Banker who is very bravely speaking out his things. And of course, we're talking about why we don't want a pool on Cheongguk Palace, even though it's a beautiful thing and it's nice for pictures and all that kind of stuff. I understand there's some nice things about it. But there's also some negative things that it starts to attract. Okay? I don't have a problem with young men being fit and having a strong body and have six-pack abs and looking good. I don't have a problem with girls being hot and fit. That's good. I don't care. I know you girls want to see yourself in a bikini and you see yourself losing weight and you're happy about it. That's great. Good for you. But that's for your husband. That's so you can show off your incredible body and your fit body and your hot body to your husband. You show your husband, have a great time with your husband. Have some incredible adventures with your husband. Have your sexcapades with your husband. It's not for popular consumption. You can have your bikini body, you can have your hot body, you can have your fit body, but that's God's gift for you, your health, and also your husband. And your man, when he's fit and got the, hot body and strong pecs and nice arms and nice abs, that's great, good. But I don't even like my sons walking around with their shirt off. I had a six-pack too when I was in my teens. I trained every freaking day, 6 hours a day. You understand? Bruce Lee was my idol. You see how ripped Bruce Lee was? I wasn't as ripped as him, but I was pretty dang ripped. I have a picture of myself when I was training, when I was young, with my shirt off. My kids have seen it. Their daddy was ripped. I was in dang good shape. 175, pure muscle. Did all that boxing, did all that Thai boxing, did all that jiu-jitsu, did all that fighting. Had some good deltoids, good shoulders. And yes, I was into my body and my form, etc. That, but I didn't, even when I was swimming, I wear a dang t-shirt. I didn't feel comfortable just taking off my shirt and just, that was not part of it. Now, of course, there's a lot of fighters that have to fight with their shirt off or like, taking their shirt off, etc. But again, you could still have a great time at a beach with a dang t-shirt on. You know what I mean? Being fit, being healthy, being strong, being beautiful, having a hot bod. Great! We want you to be fit. We want you to be strong. We want you to have a hot body. We want you to be healthy. But again, that body is not only for your health, it's also for your spouse, your children. By being healthy, you're going to teach your children be healthy and fit. You're going to create a culture and atmosphere of proper dieting and proper exercise and proper training and proper nutrition. All that is good. That's great. That's part of Cheongguk culture. That's beautiful. But again, the relativist nature of the swimming pool, especially where it's concentrated here. You see, this is not just like a regular house, okay? There's a place where worldwide sanctuarians come. I don't know who's going to step in this door. I don't know which child they'll bring. It only starts with one bikini. You understand? One bikini. It starts with one bikini. All the one-piece suits. And then you got one girl who decides to wear a hole in the back. And then all the other girls say, oh, but she wears a little more different style. You see what I'm saying? And then it happens with another cut on the sides. Slowly over time, within a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got full-fledged on bikini girls everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? And then that's not enough. The damn bikinis get smaller and smaller. It doesn't start with just regular panty. It then goes to thongs. You understand what I'm saying? This is what happens. And you can see it on the beach culture everywhere. Oh, but she's from that family's from South America, and in Brazil, everybody wears thongs on the beaches. Yes, okay, but I don't want that in the Chanigung Palace. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I understand the damn pool is there for a heat dump for the solar panels which were put in. I understand that, okay, fine. But I don't need to have that culture. If that is the purpose of the pool, then let it be used as a damn heat dump. Maybe we'll just put some wooden planks over it and have a jiu-jitsu training session out there so we can train outside. That's better. That's way better for the culture of Chaniguk and Peace Militia. That'd be pretty dope. Just putting some planks over there and do our training out there with the swords and boxing training, striking training when the weather is nice. That is great. Much better than Miami Beach bikini, culture infiltrating its way into the Chanigung. That's not what we want. Because what does that culture do? It's not only about bikinis, it's about the whole culture of decadence. It's about the whole culture of hedonism. It's about the whole culture of relativism. It's about the culture of sexual relativism that culture brings in. I ain't got no problem with bikinis. I love it when the queen wears bikinis, but she wears it for me. You understand? I ain't got no problem with bikinis or hot bodies. I just got a problem if they're not the queen. You see what I'm saying? You understand? We go shopping for bikinis because every girl wants to wear a cute bikini, but she don't wear them in public. And I'm not saying she should wear a garbage bag over her head and wear a hijab and a burqa.
Thank you for making
You see the queen, she's stylish and beautiful. But Chaniguk is not about the culture of bikinis in the king's palace. Of course, it is a culture of freedom and responsibility, and of course you will have some bums that will use their wealth badly and do hedonism, but not the king's palace. Not the king of kings' palace. Not the kingship of the king of kings, which is a religious body as well. That must hold to the principles of not only the law of Chaniguk Constitution, but also the culture and tradition of the king of kings. Does that make sense? So in Chaniguk, yes, okay, you have lots of prosperity, lots of freedom and responsibility. And yes, some rich people and some wealthy people will have bikini parties. But not the king of kings blood king line. That is not a culture that we promote and or that we accept as Chaniguk tradition and heritage. See the difference there?
Yes, I do.
I'm not saying we're banning bikinis. I'm not saying we're banning these things. But in the culture of Chaniguk and the kingship line of the king of kings, that is not a culture which the kings promote. The king should promote. There's already plenty of promotion in the satanic world to promote the bikinis. And smaller bikinis now in public more and more. And even now they're getting nude color bikinis that make the girl look completely naked. Or even they're body painting her and she's literally walking around completely naked. That's not a culture you want in the king's palace. If you really care for your children, if you really love and Chaniguk tribal kings too, you have to think clearly about your children. You got to think about your kids. If you really love your children and you really care for their mind, body, health, spirit, and soul, you will think about these things and what kind of culture. When you have that prosperity, you'll think about, okay, if I make this pool, nothing wrong about a pool for exercise and some of that, but what kind of culture will it invite? All of a sudden, your young sons want to invite their friends over, and their friends bringing some girls from the local area. Oh, but the girls are not part of your house, so they wear bikinis. And one of them's from Latin America, so she's wearing a thong. All of a sudden, because of that stupid pool, which you thought was going to be good for exercise, and your kids to get out a little bit, all of a sudden, because of that freaking pool, you got freaking Latin America, you got somebody from some wearing a thong and bikinis sitting in there, and you didn't want that. Yeah, but you dumb idiot, you brought it in. You see that? That's why as the king of Chaniguk, I will not show that example. So other fools don't fall into a trap. Think about your children. Think about your 3 generations. We don't want a culture of promotion of men who are just into hedonism, of young men and women who are into hedonism and just want to throw away their life, where it's the most precious at that young age, where you can be mature and responsible, where you can actually start raising the next generation. You can even have kids at that age when you're responsible. You're already at a level of coaching that you're ready to train super high level people. Not to be squirted away with some loser, STD-ridden pieces of crap that will throw you away, bang you and throw you away. That's not the culture. That's not the culture of power and success and fruition and flourishing. That's a culture of destruction and throwing your life away into the hands of stupid idiots who are telling you stupid things because they screwed up their lives. And they want to justify it by making you screw up yours. No. What about being honorable, virtuous, beautiful, sexy, fit? All that stuff you can do, but you can still be honorable. You can still be beautiful. You can still be virtuous. You can still be high quality. You can still be mature. You can still be high level as becoming a high level coach. So now when you have kids, you're going to make those kids beautiful, healthy, successful, prosperous, sexy, empowered in their marriage, empowered in their relationships, etc., 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 etc. It is time that these things become examined, that we leave the culture of unexamined idiocy, that we protect our children and our generations and the bloodline of Christ. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Jesus to the least of these. If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love. Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these. When we love the least of these. Break our hearts once again. Help us to remember when we were only children hoping for a friend. Won't you look around? These are the lives that the world has forgotten, waiting for doors of our hearts and our homes to open. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these. When we love the least of these. If not us, who will be like Jesus to the least of these? If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love. Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't
Turn it up, turn that 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 up. It's CIG K-pop, baby, turn that up. All right, y'all. We're back. All right, we're back at the King's Report. Here we are Thursday, May 4th. Check out our new King and Queen hats in camo cool. Camo, look at that. Even the top is a little camo. You see that? And look at this. Even the side is green like that. See that? Now they're going to get instant. Look at them out there. Talking about they love the King's camel hat. And the King and Queen camel hat. Hey, that goes well with the camo suit. Thank you, beautiful. All right, folks, we are back here. We'll leave that up here for everybody up there.
new crown.
Will you leave that up for everybody? That is a pretty cool hat. I do like that. That's cool with the camo, isn't it? All right, anyways, we're going to get back. Let's get back to the most important article here. And this is the Deutsche Banker, who is exposing the financial elite naked women parties, which lead to more and more relativism, lead to more and more Satanism. And he goes here, quote, to put it carefully, most people follow a not very mainstream religion. And he's talking about the financial elites, okay? These people, most of them were Luciferians. And then you can say religion is a fairy tale, God doesn't exist, none of that is real. Well, for these people, it is truth and reality. And they served, look at that, they served something immaterial, which they call Lucifer. Now he's not saying he believed in that, but they believe in it. See, whether or not you believe in it is irrelevant. They believe in it. They want the occult power. They want the superpower. They want to dominate and be led by a demonic spirit that teaches them to dominate, do whatever means necessary to dominate, and that it's good. And he'll bestow upon them all the luxuries and hedonism that they want. All the girls, all the orgies, all the sex, all the parties. Just kill the babies, sacrifice and eat them, become demonically possessed demon predators, and then rule over this earth. And he goes on. And I also was in contact with those circles, only I laughed at it because to me they were just clients. So I went to places called the Church of Satan, so I visited these places, and they were doing their holy mass with naked women and liquor and stuff. And these are ancient rituals. They would get the young girls in early, or they would have children by the girls that they're impregnating, and then use those young girls as ritual, not only sex objects, but ritual tables. There you go, naked women, liquor, and stuff. There's always, see, this is why Father warned against drinking and smoking and doing drugs, because, look at it. There seems to be a connection, Tim, between booze, liquor, drugs, and naked women. Just saying, there seems to be a connection.
There seems to be, yes.
Okay? And it just amused me. I didn't believe in any of this stuff and was far from convinced any of this was real. In my opinion, the darkness and evil is within the people themselves. I didn't make a connection. See, it doesn't matter what he believed, because these financial elite, the elites, were involved in these ritualistic, power grabbing, metaphysical, immaterial, religious masses. They are extremely religious. See, that's why just being religious doesn't mean that's good. And that's why Jesus Christ came and gave the gospel. It's not about religion. As you can see, religion is evil, becomes evil. It's about relationship with God. It's about relationship. It's about how that relationship makes you burgeon and grow and develop when you have that relationship with God. How it brings you beyond all that you believe that you think you could do or be, but it brings you beyond those things and helps you transcend the limited identity that Satan gives you to make you stay in a box and stay in a trap. So you become a debt slave and become financially taxable and financially farmable. But not only that, if you're a girl, then they're going to indoctrinate with you sexual relativism so you can be sexually farmed. How's that, girls? Sexual farming. That's it. That's what it is, Tim. That's a new word, sexual farming, isn't it? That's what political Satanism does. That's what relativism does, sexual relativization of sexual ethics. That's what it does. It makes girls become sexually farmed. Damn! Bam! That's it right there. It's not only about tax farming for them. See, they want to sex farm. They want to sexually farm. And then it's not only about the girls for them, they want to sex farm the boys. It's not only for sex farming, then they want to cannibalize them. They are sick, demonic, bloodthirsty, evil, vampiric demons. And that's why we whoop their booty. They're a criminal crime syndicate. Well, we're the gang of Chunil Gook and the King of Kings and his band of 144,000. Oh, we should be called the gang of 144. Our gang size should be 144. We are the gang of Chunil Gook. We ride in with the King of Kings to vanquish the Satans of this earth. We jump out that whip and we get ready to whoop the devil. We're the gang of the Go ahead, turn on that 144. Turn on 144. We whoop out the gang whip to whip that demonic booty, grab his tail, rip it off, and use his dang tail as a whip to beat him. And we use that little point on the end of it to jab his eyes out. Put him in that prison where he deserves. Go ahead, play that, jump out that whip. And no, we're not using that whip to whip our wife. Like the Quran says, we're using that whip to whip that devil. Rip that tail off and whip his booty with it. Like the flail that it is. And guess what? We packing two in Chunil Gook. Because all the kings and queens pack in Chunil Gook. Because we're not there to prey on the people. We're there to protect the people. When I get my tactical jacket with my little patch that says 413, Philippians 413, with the I can do all things through Christ, and then beyond it says sheepdog. On the left side, it says samurai in Chinese character kanji, the samurai. and then what was it? Ninja midget. Ninja midget mercenary. Oh Lord, these fools drive me nuts. That's what we're saying. That is what we're talking about. So I was a guest in those circles, and it amused me greatly to see all those naked women and other things. It was a good life. See, they suck you in with all the hot naked girls. What was that movie? Eyes Wide Shut, guys. Look up Eyes Wide Shut clip. That's about the elites and their Luciferian cult. And they have this Luciferian ritual where all the naked women are around this satanic priest. And then they have all these, the naked women are wearing these satanic masks, okay? And of course they're having orgy parties and everybody's wearing masks so you can't see who's having sex with who. But you're just banging whatever. And I think it's what Tom Cruise is in that movie, is that right? Is Tom Cruise in that movie? And look, these are the elitist parties where it's essentially a sexual mass. And look at how organized it is. It's done in these dark cathedrals, and it's with all these Luciferian faces. Now there are naked women that are going to come out, so be aware of that, viewers. And there he's being initiated in, and this is literally what the Deutsche Banker said that was happening to him, right? At the super elite circles, they're into this, into the whole costume, the whole parade, the whole charade of it, the whole ritualistic of it. Look at that. The red vicar symbolizes the sort of the black pope.
Fidelio.
Or the Luciferian pope.
Is the password.
They love the Catholic hierarchy. See, people say, "Oh, well, why do they always mock the Catholic?" No, they love the Catholic hierarchy as a model. They love the centralization of the power as a model. So the Black Mass and the Luciferian Satanist cult worship like the Catholic Church because it's the Christian church, which is a state-run church. And it's a church which, of course, created rituals, a whole bunch of rituals, to glorify its hierarchy. Not saying that that is the ideal of Christendom. Jesus Christ did not create those rituals. Jesus Christ did not create the cardinals. Jesus Christ did not create the popes. Jesus Christ did not give any permission for that. But the Satanists play off of that because they like the worship of hierarchy, and they play off that. All they do is include in their circles the naked women and all that crap, and the orgies and all that. Of course, which the Catholic Church allows for their priests to do, engage in sex, pedophilia, all that, and covers up for them. But that's mainstream news. Give me a break. Okay, so look, they have to dress up in their tuxedos, they have to dress up elegantly and all that. But then they have orgies, sex parties, and quote, the aristocracy is doing their thing. And then they have you with liquor and wine or whatever, and they have you having sex when you're compromised with children, with underage girls, with boys, whatever it is, while you're drugged, and then they get pictures of you and got film of you, and so they can blackmail you. This is how the underground works, folks. This is how criminal organizations work. This is how the federal bureaucracy, CIA, crime syndicates, all of them work the same way. That's why they collude with these major secret societies who are actually at the financial elite Satanist, and who run not only pedophilia cults, but child killing sacrifices cults. It is literally the demonic presence of Satan on earth. And normal people can't believe it because they are not out to eat children and kill children. The normal person can't believe this even exists. They just think it's nuts, it's crazy. Oh, come on, you believe in that? Oh, come on, the liberal lunatic elites always try to cover up for that. Oh my God, yeah, they eat babies. Oh, yeah, okay, tinfoil man, okay, yeah, okay, they eat babies. Trying to mock you for being informed and being knowledgeable about reality. That this has been going on for thousands of years. That's a fact. And yet they want to guilt shame you and make you feel like you're stupid and that you're ignorant and that you're isolated and that you're alone in the fact that you understand reality and that you're awake and you're alive. And you don't want to see human beings be predated upon by predators who are literal demons. See, they want to make you feel weird for being good. And that's why you got to jump out that whip. You got to jump out that whip. Bernard then breaks down and starts crying before explaining that was a breaking point. Children. The former banker said his refusal to participate in the rituals made him a threat to the elite, and that this is a method used to blackmail politicians all over the world. The people who do not underestimate the severity of this are but few, because this is an annihilating force that hates our guts, it hates creation, it hates life, and it will do anything to destroy us completely, and the way to do that is divide humanity, divide and conquer, is their truth, he added. You see that? Whether Bernard is telling the truth or not, and there's no way to really determine whether that's the case, the notion of the members of the elite being connected to child pedophile rings is manifestly provable fact. As the video below documents, in virtually every major case across the world where child sex slave rings are exposed, from France, Portugal, Britain, Belgium, United States, members of the political, judicial, and celebrity elite are embroiled. Oh, but they want to call you crazy for knowing about this and being informed. When revelations about British TV entertainer Jimmy Savile's rampant pedophilia came to light, it was also reported that he was involved in satanic child abuse rituals with other occultists. Also, what is his name? Sir Edward Heath. Necrophiliac. When we come back, we're going to watch this shocking video by Paul Joseph Weston. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology, it's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Carr Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood, the history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun, to the best in compact concealed carry, Carr Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Carr Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit carr.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of China Go again, now going to a shocking video by Paul Joseph Watson. Let's take a look at this video.
So now Pizzagate's been debunked. That must mean that anyone who talks about the connections between paedophilia and people in positions of power must be a crazy extremist conspiracy theorist, right? Wrong. In virtually every major paedophile bust in every major country in the world, top politicians, judges, celebrities, billionaires, and other members of the establishment are always connected. Conspiracy theory? Okay, let's take a look. In 2008, financier Jeffrey Epstein, whose friends included some of the most powerful people on the planet, was convicted of soliciting an underage girl for prostitution. According to Fox News, Epstein, quote, allegedly had a team of traffickers who procured girls as young as 12 to service his friends on Orgy Island, an estate on Epstein's 72-acre island called Little St. James in the US Virgin Islands. Why did Bill Clinton take at least 26 trips on the Lolita Express, Epstein's jet, ditching his Secret Service detail for 5 of those trips?
A jet accusers say was equipped for sex with underage victims and was used to travel to Epstein's private island, nicknamed Orgy Island. Newly obtained documents show Clinton actually took at least 26 flights on Epstein's private jet to spots around the globe, though apparently
Kevin
not
Spacey,
after
that.
Epstein's plea
Chris
deal and jail
Tucker.
time. On at least 5 occasions that they did travel together, Secret Service did not accompany Clinton.
You don't just dismiss Secret Service detail. Paperwork has to be filed. There's an accounting of why the dismissal. In this case, there isn't paperwork, and the Secret Service is not responding to the FOIA request.
Why did Clinton choose to continue his association with Epstein when, according to the Alliance to Rescue Victims of Trafficking, everyone within his inner circles knew he was a paedophile? Why did Epstein have 21 different phone numbers for Bill Clinton? Who were the prominent people Epstein reportedly blackmailed by secretly recording them with these underage girls? Who are the, quote, powerful associates named by victim Virginia Roberts that US authorities allegedly have on tape having sex with underage girls? Why did Jeffrey Epstein serve just 13 months in jail for his crimes? Were Epstein and his friends linked to another elite child sex trafficking network, one recently exposed by a woman named Kendall on Dr. Phil's show? Kendall spoke about private parties and islands where she and other children would be taken to be tortured and raped by high-ranking law enforcement officials, major sports figures, and top US politicians.
My whole life I traveled all over the world and would go to some of the biggest events to meet clients and have sex with them. They were all extremely rich and prominent members of society. The man who owns me is smart and rich. He has connections with very powerful people all over the world.
Who were these people? Is she referring to Epstein's Orgy Island?
I can tell you that a very reliable source has confirmed to us that Kendall has in fact been trafficked, raped, molested, and severely abused by a very large, very dangerous organization.
In 2010, Laura Silsby, former director of the New Life Children's Refuge, was arrested for attempting to traffic 33 children out of Haiti. Silsby's lawyer and his wife were later arrested on suspicion of involvement in an international human trafficking ring? Why did Bill Clinton intervene to secure the release of all of Silsby's co-conspirators? Why did Clinton help get Silsby's sentence reduced from conspiracy and child abduction to just, quote, arranging irregular travel? Why were Silsby's charges reduced just 3 days after Clinton landed in Haiti? Why was Hillary Clinton interested in the case? Last year, former child actor and Lord of the Rings star Elijah Wood said powerful figures in the movie business were protecting paedophiles. Who were these monsters that preyed upon children at Hollywood parties? How many famous faces are among the 100 active paedophiles in Hollywood referenced by Anne Henry? Are they the same predators who abused Corey Feldman and other child actors in the 1980s?
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. There was a circle of older men that surrounded themselves around this group of kids.
Does this Hollywood pedo cult stretch back to the 70s, when Roman Polanski was arrested for having sex with a 13-year-old girl before fleeing America? Why have prominent politicians and Hollywood heavyweights like Meryl Streep consistently defended Polanski, a fugitive paedophile?
Yes, Roman Polanski. I'm very sorry that he's in jail.
In 2012, it was revealed that British entertainer Jimmy Savile had sexually abused hundreds of young children for decades. Who among those in the British establishment that Savile was so close to knew about his activities? Who were the other masked participants in Savile's satanic ceremonies during which children were raped? Who were the other participants during another satanic abuse ceremony that took place on a, quote, wealthy London street? Why was Savile's connection with what MP Tom Watson called, quote, a powerful paedophile network linked to Parliament and Number 10 not properly investigated? How come knowledge of Savile's abuse of children was circulating as far back as 1978, and yet he remained free for over 3 decades?
Jimmy Savile, I think he's a hypocrite. I bet he's into all kinds of seediness that we all know about but are not allowed to talk about. I know some rumours. I bet none of this will be allowed out.
The fact that in 1978, at the height of the Sex Pistols explosion, there you are saying about Jimmy Savile, he was into all kinds of seediness that we all knew about. We weren't allowed to talk about it. I know some rumours. So you had heard the kind of thing that we now know about him, or stuff like that?
Yeah. I found myself being banned from BBC Radio there for quite a while for my contentious behaviour.
Why did the BBC cancel a Newsnight investigation into the abuse that was set to air in 2011 after Savile's death? Was TV presenter Jill Dando professionally murdered because she was about to expose, quote, big-name stars at the BBC who were involved in the abuse? Why was an innocent, mentally unstable man blamed for Jill Dando's murder and locked up for 7 years on flimsy evidence? In 2014, London police publicly said they believed allegations that, quote, a ring of prominent politicians and members of the establishment abused and terrorised children as young as 7 more than 30 years ago and went on to kill 3 young boys. Who were these prominent politicians? One of the victims who blew the whistle on the abuse handed a list of VIP names to the police.
The allegations beggar belief. Young boys driven around London and delivered to abuse parties. MPs, police officers and other pillars of the British establishment engaged in depraved acts of abuse with children. And now the latest shocking claim. At least 3 murders linked to a network of VIP perverts.
An internal Home Office inquiry last year discovered 114 files on the issue had gone missing.
We're talking about the worst kind of crime committed by the people who are supposed to be running the country.
Why, after initially going public with their belief that the claims were true, did police subsequently close the investigation in 2016? Was it for the same reason that police shelved an investigation into the same Dolphin Square paedophile cult in 1988 on the orders of those at the top? And who was the Tory minister seen in a child sex abuse video handed to MI5 in 1982? Who were the 20 former MPs, government ministers, judges and other prominent figures who abused children for decades, according to former child protection manager Peter McKelvey?
There's been an extremely powerful elite amongst the highest levels of the political classes for as long as I've been alive, and I'm 65 now. And there's been sufficient reason to investigate it over and over again, certainly for the last 30 years. And there's always been the block and the cover-up and the collusion to prevent that happening.
Paedophile MP Cyril Smith abused boys for 4 decades and was protected by the British establishment. Who else are they protecting? Who protected the Pakistani rape gang that was allowed to abuse and traffic 1,400 girls in Rotherham for over a decade? In 2004, Belgian Marc Dutroux was convicted of kidnapping, torturing and sexually abusing 6 young girls, 4 of whom he murdered.
How was he able to kidnap, rape and murder young children right under the noses of the police in this modern European country? Was he protected?
Why did police visit Dutroux's home and hear screaming children in the basement, only to claim it was the sound of kids playing outside and then leave? Why were surveillance tapes showing Dutroux constructing the entrance to the dungeon where the kidnapped girls were held seized by police but never viewed? Who were the high-level politicians that Dutroux named as members of the powerful network he was procuring children for? Why did Jean-Marc Connereau, the original judge in the case, break down in tears before speaking of shadowy, quote, figures determined to stop the full truth coming out? Who were the members of the government Connereau said were protecting the real suspects in the trafficking of children?
I don't believe that there is one person in this country who knows the full story.
Were these the same aristocrats involved in the abuse of Anneke Lucas and other children in Belgium in the late 60s and early 70s?
And the children were the commodity, the highest, the most valued commodity, and were used for sex mostly. But there were a number of aristocrats that were part of this club who also liked killing children.
In 2010, numerous prominent individuals in Portugal were convicted for their involvement in the sexual abuse of more than 100 orphan children. They included a TV presenter, a governor, and a UNESCO ambassador.
7 people, including a former ambassador and a former television presenter, face more than 800 charges.
Numerous other senior MPs and members of Portugal's elite were linked to the paedophile ring.
A member of staff from that children's home took boys from there and procured them for paedophiles, for Portuguese men who then took these boys away to other places where they were sexually abused. Many prominent Portuguese people have been implicated in this case. Those facts are confirmed by the court, so the crimes were committed. It's named names.
Carlos Silvino, quote, procured boys for a powerful group of clients. But who were they? According to former Secretary of State for Families, Teresa Costa Macedo, these high-profile paedophiles included diplomats and politicians, but only a handful of people were ever convicted. Why were most of them never brought to justice? And what was the identity of the elitists in France for whom children were provided for sadomasochistic orgies by serial killer Patrice Allegre? Everything I just said is documented and the links are in the description. So we're faced with 2 possibilities. Either this is all just one huge conspiracy theory and I'm making it all up, or there's a pattern where in the most high-profile sex trafficking bust, members of the elite are involved in the ritual sexual abuse of children. The evidence clearly suggests the latter. And none of that evidence, not a single piece of it, has anything to do with Pizzagate. It's important to emphasise that there are numerous paedophile scandals which have been proven to be fake, the result of mass hysteria or contrived panic. For example, the daycare allegations of the 80s and early 90s that were blamed on a readiness to believe false accusations. And Pizzagate may well fall into that category. However, that can't be said for any of the examples I provided in this video. My final question is this. Given that the Trump administration has acted aggressively to arrest sex traffickers, with more than 1,500 arrests in his first month in office alone, is this what Trump truly meant when he said he was going to drain the swamp? And is a huge part of the establishment's war on Trump centered on their fear that the net is closing on their sordid, illegal activities?
Bam, bam, bam. Excellent piece by Paul Joseph Watson. Let's go to the headlines real quick. One more as we breeze over the headlines we wanted to cover today. Obama's sex secret laid bare how he considered a gay fling, had passionate sex and cocaine with one white girl, proposed twice to another, and cheated on Michelle before they married. There you go. Report Kushner hid ties to George Soros.
Yes.
In real estate deal, Kushner, a business partner with George Soros again.
Yes, we did.
More and more coming out.
$1 billion, yeah.
$1 billion?
Yeah, $1 billion. We covered that
Wow,
yesterday.
Kushner is absolutely the mole.
Yeah.
No question about it. DNC silent after vice chair defends pro-Sharia organizer. Trump fires back U.S. launches nuke missile just days after Kim's nightmare firing. North Korea claims U.S. strategic bombers flew over to Korea this week. Ex-banker, we just did that now. Why isn't communism as hate as Nazis?
Right.
We got to show this maybe tomorrow. This is a great, great video by Dennis Prager. Leaked Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth sequel decoded. Yes, the world will be saved as long as you pay carbon taxes to Al Gore and his carbon trading company, making billions of dollars off of you. Yes, that's how you save the world. And of course, he predicted Antarctica and Antarctica would totally disappear and melt by 2012. Of course, it's only expanded. What a total fraud. RFK Jr.'s Tucker Carlson interview promotes healthy debate about vaccine safety. That's great. Excellent. Le Pen slams Macron. France will be led by a woman, either me or Mrs. Merkel. Ron Paul says the collapse is closer than ever. Oh, I won't see that later. Hispanics give Trump higher approval rating than the rest of us. Surprising numbers revealed in latest poll. And the late Hispanic woman there saying, please do not continue saying that us Latinos do not want Trump.
45%.
It is a lie. 45%. Boom. 2 points higher than the president's generic approval. Hispanics are approving of Trump. Comey says nauseous to think FBI impacted presidential election, even though they were totally caught supporting Hillary. Fire Colbert. CBS urged to fire Stephen Colbert over Trump cock holster remark, where he said he's the cock holster for Vladimir Putin. Secret conservative discovered in Hollywood. That's Richard Dreyfuss, who apparently comes out to be a constitutionalist. An entire Queen's household is called to a highly unusual emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace. Rumors of announcements concerning Queen or Duke of Edinburgh. The vampire Prince Philip there, who said he'd like to be born as a virus so he can kill off and cull human population. This man is a complete predator. That whole royal family, of course, connected with Jimmy Savile, but of course nothing ever comes out about them. Should whites apologize for slavery? BuzzFeed is cancer. Will the Second Civil War turn violent? If college presidents, mayors, and police chiefs won't stop the left-wing mobs, other Americans will. And there you go. That is the top news today. This day, Thursday, May 4th, 2017. We thank you for joining us today on the King's Report. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday, 5 a.m. sharp on the King's Report. Stay strong, be of good faith and good courage. God bless, Godspeed, and may his kingdom come. We'll see you tomorrow.